thank you, Don, very much for speaking with me today. I appreciate it.
Sure.
So, real quick, how long have you lived in Rabbit Hash, and what is your connection?
I've lived. You already stumped me. Let's start with the Rabbit Hash as it is now.
Okay.
Louis Scott bought the first building down here from his uncle when it was the Ironworks building over here. It was a feed shop, like a little hardware building.
Okay.
And he bought it, and everybody wondered, you know, why do you want that? He said, well, just because it's here and it's part of my childhood, and it's part of where I grew up.
Oh, sure.
And then when he bought that, the owners of this general store was Lib and Cliff Stevens, and this was 1979.
Okay.
And that's about the time that all these convenience stores and big markets were putting mom and pop stores out.
Okay.
And by then, you know, everybody had access to driving to town, and a place like this really didn't survive selling groceries. So they said, hey Louis, why don't you just buy this place? They didn't exactly call it place, but sure. So he bought this, and then through the years he bit by bit bought every building in town and every parcel of land.
Okay.
Until he had the whole contiguous Rabbit Hash. So Rabbit Hash, as people know it now, it's about 2.5 acres.
Okay. With
6 different buildings on it. It's a National Register district. So the whole district is on the National Register, and it even includes areas up and down river beyond us.
Oh, okay.
For the district. District's actually about 11 or 12 acres.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And of course, the reason it's a district is because of this store. This is a National Register structure. It's always been the centerpiece of Rabbit Hash. Now, it was built in 1831 by the Grange. The Grange was like a fraternal organization of farmers.
Oh, okay.
And of course, this was a rural agrarian area, and people made their living farming. So the reason for this building was for a place for the farmers to store the goods and the produce that they had in excess of what they needed to live.
Yeah.
They'd store it here till a steamboat would come up or down river, and then they could unload it to the boat, you know, to a certain market.
Okay.
So this was kind of a storage area for that reason. Eventually, the store became in the hands of one person. That was James A. Wilson. That was the first proprietor of Rabbit Hash, and he was only 17 years old. And his family has lived down here ever since. We actually have some of his store records and his ferry boat records.
Oh, wow.
And luckily they weren't stored here.
Excellent.
So anyway, when Louis bought the town initially back in 78 or 79, he was cleaning out one of the buildings, and I said, Louis, you can't throw that away, that's historical. And he goes, all right, Claire, I'm in charge of my building, you're in charge of historical. And it was a funny beginning. That's how we started, Rabbit Hash Historical Society.
You can't throw that away.
Yeah, in 1984 we became a 501c3 nonprofit.
Oh, so official.
So we've been a nonprofit organization. I can't do the math on my head here, but it's been a very long time. Now, what? Thankfully, the stores, because of the fire, was not our wood stove. Because we take very much pride in the Rabbit Hash Ironworks wood stove.
Absolutely.
every building has one in it, and all our neighbors use the Rabbit Hash wood stove. And the cause was not that; it was an electrical malfunction.
Yeah, that's a figure probably what it was.
Of one of the coolers. All of our wiring and the flue and everything was in perfect shape according to the fire inspector. So that took a lot of pain away from us, you know.
Yeah.
Everybody's thinking, oh God, I hope it's not the stove. I might have done something wrong, or put too much in it. But we meticulously clean the stacks every spring, and you know, we respect fire, so we are always aware and afraid of fire,
especially with historical buildings.
Yeah, and this is a tinderbox.
Yeah.
So, being a tinderbox, we had a limited amount of insurance money we could get on a building like this.
No, that's understandable. Yeah.
Just because they won't insure them for anymore. And the company we have is a farmer's insurance company, and they're used to insuring barns, tobacco barns. You know, barns are notorious for being easily burnt.
Yeah.
So that's why I've seen a lot of stuff on social media about, well, they got money from GoFundMe and they got fire insurance. Why do they need money?
They don't understand.
Well, believe me, to rebuild what we're going to do here is going to cost 3 times what we're getting from it.
Well, you want to make it historically accurate.
Yeah, and that's the good part. The SHPO, the State Historic Preservation Officer, who deals with any National Register building in the state of Kentucky, has been working with us to help us keep this building on the National Register.
Oh, excellent.
And the only thing that's saving us is that the floor is intact and the foundation is intact. And basically what we're going to do is remodel.
Okay.
So that's why we're able to do this. So it's going to be a long, meticulous project to where we actually get down to driving nails with hammers.
Well, you because it's historical, you have to go through a different process than just building a new house.
A big hierarchy of bureaucracy that we're going through.
Yeah.
But you know, God love them all. They're all on our side working for us.
Excellent.
Because this building in this town has been an iconic place for northern Kentucky and greater Cincinnati
forever.
Years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, you know, you leave the hustle and bustle of Cincinnati, and 20 minutes later you're here in Rabbit Hash. It's like going on a time machine, you know.
It really is.
You're back 200 years, and people are friendly, and you're feeling good, and watch the river go by. So that's kind of you know, the history of where we were and where we are now, and then where we're going to go.
Yeah.
Now, I'm looking at this as we're just entering a new chapter of Rabbit Hash history.
Yeah.
People will recall the 1937 flood. That was devastating.
Yeah.
The 1964 flood, you know, ruined the place. And when people refer to time around here, they go, you know, before the flood, right after the flood. And so we're just going to refer to this as before the fire, after the fire. So our history is going to just proceed after the fire.
Well, I think it was equally as amazing as the transformation in just a week over to the barn for temporary. I mean, that's
you can't get a better group of people that just pitches in and does stuff than you find here.
Yeah.
I mean, even in the 1997 flood, the power plant, East Bend Power Plant, it was CG&E at that point. They sent a whole crew, you know, they were on the payroll up there, whole crew, all their equipment down here for a week.
Oh, jeez.
To help us clean it. You know, every building was full of mud.
Oh, God.
And they were just fantastic.
Well, that's great.
Now again with the fire, they're kicking in with a pretty substantial donation. So you can't say enough about the good neighbors around here, and the people that love this place, and the people that have this building, this store, and it's really abstract. It's a feeling. It's just hard to describe, but it's something that's in their heart.
Yeah. I mean, I've been watching people bring in little stained glass sun catchers and a plant that in an old work boot and just things to put around the store, you know.
Right, right.
So it was really neat.
It's fantastic. It's, I mean, and you've been here all day. It's kind of like a wake. People been bringing food and sending cards, and I even got emails. I got an email from Spain, and I got an email from Germany.
Oh, wow.
Saying, you know, we saw this, and we're so sorry. And
that's great.
yeah, Rabbit Hash has been photographed internationally. And of course, Coca-Cola has been getting great advertisement out of the Coke sign.
Yeah, it's been on the front
That's
forever.
been there since 1931.
Oh, Jesus.
A lot of free advertising there.
They got a vested interest.
Yeah. Yeah, I would hope so.
Thank you, Bobby, very much for speaking with me today. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So, tell me initially about your connection to Rabbit Hash. Like, how long have you been here?
I've lived in Rabbit Hash for 15 years.
Okay.
I was living in a neighborhood that was kind of going downhill with 3 sons. I had 3 boys, and I was raising them as a single mom. I wanted to get them out in the country where it was a little bit more wholesome, and after about 6 months looking for property, I found my place down here about a mile away.
Cool.
I didn't even know I lived near the general store. I had heard of it. I had been there once before, maybe 20 years before I moved down here. And I was doing dishes the very first day in my new home, and some really cute girl comes bouncing up on my back porch and knocks on the door, and I open it, and she says, "Hi, my name's Leslie. My boyfriend lives on the hill right above me. Your car rolled out and I can't get out."
Your car rolled out.
My car was blocking the only lane to my only neighbor on the other side of the road.
That's funny.
It is funny. Anyway, she proceeded to tell me that they were all coming down to Rabbit Hash that day and I should join them. So later on I put the kids in the car and I drove down here, and it was like coming home.
Yeah.
I met so many friends just that very first day, and it was like my children no longer just had me, they had 5 different moms. So, I mean, kids can't get by with anything down here because there's always somebody watching them.
Yeah.
So it just became our second home. We fell in love with it. We do what we can for it. As the years have evolved, I've become a little more involved with Rabbit Hash. I'm on the board of directors.
Okay.
And my dog, Lucy Lou, is the mayor of town.
And where did you, how did you get Lucy? I mean, where did you get her?
We got Lucy from a farm down outside of Lexington, Kentucky.
Okay.
She's part of a family who occasionally allow their fur babies to procreate. We had lost Carolina, which is a cross between a border collie and I think lab.
Okay.
And we just needed to find a dog that could fill our hearts as much as Suki Sue had.
Oh, sure.
So we went online, and that's where we found her. The family actually brought her up here on a Sunday afternoon when there was live music in the store. And at the time, Junior Cochran was mayor. He was a black lab before Lucy. And he happened to be here that day. They brought Lucy to us, and we couldn't put her on the ground because she hadn't had all her shots yet. But she saw Mayor Cochran the first time she was ever in Rabbit Hash, and we're pretty sure her political aspirations started that very day.
Oh, that's great. So now that I know more about your background, but more recently we had a tragedy with the general store. So what? So far, I mean, the fundraising has been quite impressive. Do you have a ballpark of any idea where it's at right now?
I didn't check the GoFundMe this morning. Yesterday it was just over 51,000.
That's amazing.
It is amazing in under a week.
Yeah, and I talked to Terry, and there was the Duke Energy made 25 grand.
Right.
And
right.
So, and I know there's lots of other things in the works and stuff, but
there are several.
That's just, it's really amazing to see so many people.
The outpouring from the general public has just been so heartwarming. There's a little bit of a problem in certain areas. Well-meaning people have
Oh, sure.
tried to launch campaigns and
Well, you have to, with all the greatest intentions, but you kind of have to centralize everything.
exactly.
And it either has to go through somebody like you or Terry or somebody that's directly involved.
Yeah, that's right.
But where can we go to, I guess, just keep up to date with everything that's going on with the fundraising efforts and everything else?
We're trying to keep the Historical Society's webpage up to date. That web address is www.rabbithashhistsos.org. I know, it's kind of hard to remember.
You probably just Google Rabbit Hash and you'll probably
Yeah,
get
yeah.
somewhere,
So
but
between Terry's website and Historical Society's website,
Yeah.
we both also maintain Facebook presences
Okay.
that you can find us there too.
Okay. Well, thank you, Bobby, very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you, Terry, for answering some questions for me today. Appreciate it.
Sure.
So, just kind of real quick, I mean, what is your connection to Rabbit Hash? I mean, how long have you been here, and how did you end up running the store and
Okay.
all that kind of thing?
Well, let's see. I have been in Rabbit Hash since 1999.
Okay.
I worked for a woman. There was a man that owned the town for the last 40 years. His name is Louis Scott. And when I came here, I just worked part-time for his daughter who was running the store.
Okay.
And then it changed hands, and he said, "Do you want to run it?" And I said, "Sure." No retail experience, but I'll try.
Yeah.
And so we worked together for years, and then when the Historical Society bought it, they said, "Do you want to run it?" And I said, "Sure." So I've been here now being the proprietor for 17 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I was born and raised in this county.
Oh, okay.
And so I've known of Rabbit Hash all my life, but just had no idea that I would ever be so connected to it.
Oh, sure, sure. So, unfortunately, about a week ago, we had a very unfortunate incident with a fire in the store. I mean, would you mind talking about how you found out about it?
Sure.
Or
It was the coldest night of the year.
I remember that.
And I was sitting at my table, and they called me from the security system. They said that there was an interior sensor that had gone off.
Okay.
And they said, "Is it a false alarm?" And I said, "I have no idea. I'm assuming not, you know." And so I hung up the phone with them, and right about that time, I heard a siren, and I thought to myself, "Please let it be an ambulance."
Yeah.
You know, which is a crazy thought, right? Because that means somebody's life is in danger.
Oh, sure.
And then when I looked out my window, I saw a fire truck, and I knew, I was like, "Oh my God, the general store's on fire."
Yeah.
I knew it, you know, so I called Louis, who lives in town, and I said, look out your window, make sure the store's okay." And he said, you know, he was grumbling. It was like 9 o'clock, and he said, "Wait a minute, I'll go get it. I'll go look." And he said, "That son of a bitch is on fire."
Son of a bitch.
And so I knew at that moment that, you know, it was a tinderbox. I mean, the wood
Yeah.
was so old. I knew we just.
Well, a historical building, it's always a
Right.
unfortunate
Yeah.
thing that
Just
could happen.
so
but-
old, you know.
But in that aftermath, obviously, you've had quite a recovery.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, right now we're in the barn, which is just a
Right.
few feet away from the
Which
store.
it is starting to feel like a store, you know.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's looking a bit like it, and you know, the people here in this community are pretty easily persuaded. They think it's a store, so it is a store. You know, if they, you know, if they
Oh,
think
sure.
it's a store, then it
Yeah.
is a store. So it is what people believe it to be.
Yeah.
You know, which is a place to come, to gather, to listen to music, to talk around the stove. You know, that's what Rabbit Hash is all about. Is that community that you. You know, they've written this song, "You Can't Keep a Good Town Down," and so you know that's what it. On Friday night we had this big music picking session, and I felt that the heartbeat of this town stronger than I've ever felt it. You know, so you just can't kill it.
Oh, not at all.
No, we just can't squash it.
So, and let's talk about the fundraising effort so far, which has been equally as amazing.
Amazing.
So I'm not sure what the current tally is as of today, but do you know roughly off the top of your head?
I've only really been on there. I just have people telling me
Yeah.
how much is being raised. I've been on there twice to write a post, just to
Yeah.
kind of keep people informed about what's happening. I think I've said this over and over. I just am astounded, and I don't know what it is. If it's the loss that's overwhelming me, or if it's the love.
Yeah. But,
So that's really. I mean, I'm equally. It's so equal. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I mean, well, not only just individuals, but I know Duke Energy's kind of stepped up and a few other.
$25,000.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
my
insane.
gosh. And there's one man in this town. His name is Dwayne Doyle, and he is sort of the liaison between Duke Energy, the East Bend Power Station.
Mm-hmm.
He's been working with his the plant supervisor. They've been working together, and so it's just amazing to have that big, support right in your own town.
Oh, sure. And today, Sunday, we're going to have Honey in Houston.
Yeah.
So even though I've already had a picking session, this is kind of the first official band
Right.
back in.
Yeah.
And you didn't miss the schedule up at all. It's officially the day they were supposed to play.
It's
isn't it?
amazing. We just didn't even skip a beat. I don't know how we did that. We just didn't even skip a beat. It's called Sunday Behind the Stove series, which if you look over there, it would be a little tough to put a band back there. So we're gonna have to change it to like the behind or next to the stove series.
Next to the stove.
So.
Well, very nice. And where can people go to, I guess, just to keep abreast on what's going on with the general store?
My website is still up and running, rabbithash.com.
Okay, excellent.
So that has the music, the listing, all the listings, and
Okay.
on there.
Well, excellent.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Terry, very much.
Share.